Guten Tag, and welcome to our presentation on the past tense in Pennsylvania Dutch or Pennsylvania German or Deutsch. If you haven't looked at our previous lessons in this series, I recommend you do those first because you'll need to understand the verbs ich bin, which is the second lesson, and the verb ich hab, which is the third lesson, in order to understand the past tense. Let's start off by looking at what a verb looks like in the dictionary. This is an entry from the online Pennsylvania Dutch Dictionary. You can find that at PA Dutch Dictionary on the internet. And this is the verb machen, gemacht, which means to make. Now, the very first form you'll see in any of these entries, machen, that's called the infinitive. We're not going to worry about that form right now. We're going to use that form later on to form the present tense, for example. But right now, we're interested in the past tense. And we're starting with the past tense because if we know the verbs ich bin and ich hab, it's quite easy to make the past tense. Now, to make the past tense, we're interested in the verb in the past participle. That's the second form given in a dictionary entry. In the case of PA Dutch Dictionary, it's preceded by the abbreviation PP, which stands for past participle. And the fact that it's the past participle gives you a pretty strong hint that we're going to use that to form the past tense. So remember, when we're making the past tense, we use the second form in a dictionary entry, in this case, gemacht. Now, to make the past tense, we basically combine the past participle with the right form of ich hab, I have. So, for example, if you wanted to say I have made or I made, you'd say ich hab gemacht. Like we have see here. If you said I made, you'd say ich hab gemacht. Now notice in Dutch you always say I have made. In Pennsylvania German, you never say simply I made. That's like a tense that doesn't exist in Pennsylvania German. If you studied Standard German, you'll know it exists in Standard German, at machte, but it doesn't exist in Pennsylvania Dutch. In Pennsylvania Dutch, you always say I have made. And that's the case, we have lots in English, we have lots of ways of saying this. I've made, I have made, I did make. All of those various versions of past time in Dutch are just one. So in that way, Pennsylvania Dutch is more straightforward than both Standard English and Standard German. Ich hab gemacht. I made. More literally, I have made. Let's say you wanted to say you made. You would say du hast gemacht. Literally, you have made. And you'll see why, in order to form the past tense, you need to know the verb ich hab really well. And that's why we looked at it earlier on in this series. You need to know that verb very well to talk about the past. And talk about the past is one of the things we often do in any language. Du hast gemacht, you made. Literally, you have made. Now, we're not going to look at every single one of these forms. You can imagine how you make them. We have made, for example, would be machen gemacht. They have made or they made would be sie hen gemacht. So you just combine the form of I have, the right form, with gemacht to form the past tense. So you use the verb ich hab, the right form, plus the past participle. That's how you make the past tense. Now, it gets a little bit more tricky than that when we think about the word order. Because the past participle, we've been using the verb machen gemacht, and the past participle is gemacht. That past participle is usually the last word in the clause. So if the sentence has a direct object or some kind of simple prepositional phrase, that phrase or direct object is placed before the past participle. So there's a little bit of grammar talk in there, direct object, simple prepositional phrase. If you don't understand what those things are, that's fine. You don't need to understand what those things are. Just keep in mind that the past participle, the form like gemacht, goes at the end. That's the place where it belongs. It goes at the end. Now, if we were to get into the intricacies of Dutch grammar, we'd see lots of exceptions to this, but this is the learn the basics of Pennsylvania Dutch. And this will give you the key information you need to know. And the key idea is that the past participle is the last word in the clause. Clause just means a group of words that make up an idea. So the past participle is the last word in the clause. Let's look at some examples. If you wanted to say you read the book, the verb read is lezen, gelezen. So gelezen would be the past participle. And you combine that with the right form of ich habe. So du hast, you have. Du hast das Buch gelezen. You read the book. Literally, you have the book read. That gelezen, the past participle, goes at the end. Now we can turn that into a question like usual, as we know from the earlier lessons. To make a question, you just take the verb and you put it at the front. So in English, to make these past tense verbs, we have to use this little helping verb did. Did the dog get the cat? In Dutch, we just need to move the verb to the front. So it would be had de hond de kat gekriegt. Literally, has the dog the cat got? But we would translate that into more normal English by saying, did the dog get the cat? Had de hond de kat gekriegt? Had de hond de kat gekriegt? Did the dog get the cat? Now, to make the sentence negative, you just throw a net into the sentence. Net, you'll remember, is the word for not. So to say that the girl did not see the dog, remember in English we have to throw in this little helping verb did. We don't need to worry about that at all in Dutch. We just have to throw in the net, the not. So the girl did not see the dog would be, das Mädel hat de hond net gesehen. Das Mädel hat de hond net gesehen. Gesehen is the past participle of the verb sehen, to see. Notice once again the past participle goes to the end. Now it's slightly more complicated. Just one little complication we should be aware of is that a few words use ich bin, that is the verb to be, right? Ich bin means I am, to form the past tense. So the overwhelming majority of them use ich habe, and if you were to use ich habe for every single one, that would be fine and everybody would understand you. But just make it a little bit more accurate, some verbs use ich bin. Now the verbs that use ich bin tend to be verbs that involve going someplace. They involve traveling or changing position, not moving something else, but moving yourself. We could call these verbs of intransitive motion if you wanted to be a little bit fancy. But basically just think, if you're going somewhere, then you're probably going to use ich bin instead of ich habe. And the three really common verbs that use this are sei gewesen, which means to be. So one way to say I was would be ich bin gewesen. That would mean I was, or one way of saying I was. There's another way we'll talk about much later on in our lessons. Ich bin gewesen. I was. To say go, the verb for go is gehe, gegangen. Remember, the second form in these kind of entries is the past participle. So our past participle is gegangen. So to say I went, or I did go, anything like that, or I have gone, you would say ich bin gegangen. I went. Likely with komme, you'll see that komme, the infinitive, which is that first form, and the past participle are the same, komme. So to say I came, I arrived, you would say ich bin komme. Now in our lessons, any verb that uses ich bin instead of ich habe to form the past tense is marked by an asterisk. Here are just some of the examples. I've actually given them as already. Ich bin gegangen, I went, literally I am gone. Das Buch ist komme, the book has arrived. More literally, the book is come. So the standard verbs gehe, ganga, and komme use ich bin. They're really common verbs. That's why it's kind of nice to know them and to practice using the more grammatically correct past tense, which is the ich bin forms with them. Okay, so here are a bunch of verbs, and we can see the infinitives and the past participles. We already know mache, gemacht, to make or to do. Gesehen means to see. So the past participle would be gesehen. To say I saw, you would say ich hab gesehen. Ich hab gesehen. In a lot of places, gesehen, that past participle is pronounced tsene, almost like the G word T sound. Ich hab gesehen. I saw. Depends where you are. In kind of northern Berks County, a person says ich hab gesehen with a more of a G sound. Groups originally coming from Lancaster, York counties have more of a T sound there. Ich hab gesehen. Those are small details. Don't worry about those things too much. The verb to go is gehe, ganga. We'll talk about that little superscript N later on. Don't worry about that right now. Gehe, ganga is the verb to go. That asterisk tells you that you use the verb ich bin with it. So if you were to say you are gone or you went, you would say du bist ganga. You would use the right verb form of the verb to be. Du bist ganga. If you have forgotten the verb to be, go back and look at one of the earlier lesson. I think it's lesson 2, where we talk about the verb to be. Du bist ganga. You went. To arrive someplace or to come is komme. Past participle is komme. So if you said he has arrived, you would say ist komme. Ist komme. Literally, he is come. To get something is kriege, kriegt. Remember that most of the time the G between vowels is almost silent. So that infinitive there is kriege, not kriege, but kriege. Kriege, kriegt, to get. Kriege, kriegt. If you were to say she got something, you would say sie hat gekriegt. Literally, she has gotten. Sie hat gekriegt. To read is lese, gelese. Often that kind of GE, you'll notice that a lot of past participles have kind of a G in front of them. And the G is, sometimes it's written GE, sometimes it's just written G. But it makes this, even when it's written GE, it's a very kind of short, it's not like a really long syllable. It's not gelese. It's a bit more like gelese. So the verb to read, if you said, if you were to say we read, you would say ma hen gelese. Ma hen gelese. Literally, we have read. Now here are some adverbs of time, given that we're talking about the past tense. Maria means tomorrow. Maria. Maria. Now, this is kind of more Pennsylvania pronunciation. In some of the dialects of Deutsch out in the Midwest, this word is pronounced a little bit more like Maya, almost if it doesn't have the R sound, Maya. But in Pennsylvania, you hear that R sound, Maria, tomorrow. Yesterday is gesta, gesta. Remember that the ER sound usually sounds like ah. You almost never hear that R. Gesta, gesta. Today is height, height, height. Remember, EI makes the sound I, height. Thank you is denki. In some places it's donkey. Denki. And the traditional way of saying you're welcome when somebody thanks you is gern geschehen. Gern geschehen. Gern geschehen. That's it for this lesson. Maybe you'll remember what mach scoot means. Goodbye.